inshallah. Okay, boys, we are starting with breathing out. Now, boys, breathing out is also called as exhaling. Now, boys, a quick reminder. Now, boys, if you guys remember, we learned last time that in the middle of our chest, there is a bone, and this bone is called sternum. And with the sternum, there are ribs that are attached. So, boys, these are ribs. Next thing, boys, what did we learn? That in between the ribs, there are muscles. Now, there are two types of muscles in between the ribs. One are called as like these ones, the internal intercostal muscles. And the second ones, which I'm representing with the red color, these are called as external intercostal muscles. Now, boys, next thing we also learned that these muscles, they always work in pairs. And if one muscle contract, the other muscle always relax. If one muscle contract, the other muscle always relax. Right, boys? Now, if you guys remember last time when we were talking about the breathing in, we learned that at that time, the diaphragm is straight. Now, so what happens when we want to breathe out? At that time, the muscles of the diaphragm, they relax, and diaphragm comes back to its original dome shape position. So what happens over here, that the muscles of diaphragm relax, and diaphragm comes back to its original dome shape position. Right, boys? Next, what happens that at the same time, the internal intercostal muscles contract, and external intercostal muscles relax. Now, boys, remember that last time I taught you that when one muscle contract, other muscle relax. In this case, what is happening? Internal intercostal muscle is contracting and external intercostal muscle is relaxing. Now, when this happens, that the internal intercostal muscles contract and the external intercostal muscles relax, at that time, the rib cage, it moves downward and inward. Now, boys, I want you all to inhale deeply first and then exhale deeply. While you are exhaling deeply, put both of your hands on your chest and then exhale deeply. Everyone, right now, put your hands on your chest and exhale deeply. You will feel the rib cage is going downward and inward. Now, guys, raise your hands. How many of you have done this? And you observe that it is going downward and inward. Yes, rest of the boys. Ahmad Alam, Ahmad Nawaz, Hassan Bajwa, Huzaifa Ahmad, Muhammad Arsalan
Yes,
Abbas,
sir.
Muhammad. You have
Yes,
also done?
sir.
All right.
Yes.
Right, boys? So, what is happening? That the rib cage moves downward and inward. Now, just imagine that when the rib cage it will move downward and inward, the diaphragm will come back to its original dome shape position. So what will happen? That both the rib cage and diaphragm, they apply pressure on lungs. They both apply pressure on lungs. And when they apply pressure on lungs, then what happens? Then the air is exhaled. Then what happens? The air is exhaled. Now, boys, our lungs, they're just like you see balloons. I gave you this example last time as well. Now, let's suppose that if there is an inflated balloon and we press pressure onto the balloon with the help of both of our hands, what will happen? Air will rush outward, right? What will happen? That the air will rush outward. Same way, when there is pressure onto the lungs applied by both rib cage and the lungs, the air will rush outward, right? So we can also say that the air rushes outward, and which we call that air is exhaled. Which we what do we call that the air is exhaled? Understood, everyone? Yes, boys, understood now
Yes, sir.
how the
Yes,
exhalation
sir.
takes place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, boys, you see this topic of inhaling and exhaling is finished. Now, boys, next topic which we are going to talk about, the last topic. This is very, very important, very interesting as well. So, please pay attention. The topic is exercise and breathing rate. Now, boys, right now, all of us, we are sitting in the chairs and we are not doing anything extra. We are just sitting. You are listening to me and I am talking and I'm writing on the board, right? Now, so right now, our breathing rate is normal. Now, here, let me tell you the word breathing rate, it means the number of breaths per minute. That how many breaths we are taking in 1 minute, that is called as breathing rate. So, maybe we are taking 40 breaths in 1 minute, right? So, that is what, that is our normal breathing rate. But let's suppose, what do? We start exercising. Now, boys, when we start exercising, at that time, what will happen during the exercise? Our muscles, they will work extra. During the exercise, our muscles, they will work extra. And for working extra, there is requirement of extra energy. Without energy, we cannot work. Our muscles cannot contract and relax without energy, right? Now, the energy comes from which process? Who will tell me, boys?
So respiration.
Respiration.
Very good. Very good. The energy comes from respiration, right? So during exercise, there is need for more respiration, right? For that purpose, there is a need for more oxygen. So as there is need for more respiration, though there is no need for more oxygen. So what will happen? Because of that, the breathing rate will increase. So maybe at that time, we will start taking 60 breaths per minute. So what we will say that our breathing rate has increased. So what we will say that our breathing rate has increased. Now, next thing, boys, which is very, very important, that even though our breathing rate has increased, but our lungs, they have a certain capacity to inhale air or oxygen. Our lungs cannot inhale the oxygen more than their capacity. Our lungs cannot inhale the air more than their capacity. Right, boys? Now, as the lungs cannot inhale more than their capacity, so what will happen? That in the muscles, definitely there will be aerobic respiration, but the muscles, they will also perform anaerobic respiration. Now, boys, when our muscles, they perform anaerobic respiration, which chemical is produced? Who will tell me, boys?
Lactic acid, sir.
Very good. Very good. So because of that, in our muscles, the lactic acid will be produced. Now, boys, let me tell you that this lactic acid, it is toxic. Means that it is poisonous. The lactic acid, it is toxic. It is poisonous. So what will happen? That our body should get rid of it. So what happens that this lactic acid, first it is transferred to blood. Then what happens that the blood will take the lactic acid to the liver. What happens that the blood, it takes the lactic acid to the liver. So what happens that the blood will take the lactic acid to the liver. Now, in the liver, two things happen, boys. One, that 3 out of 4 molecules of lactic acid, they are changed back to glucose. First thing what happens, 3 out of 4 molecules of lactic acid, they are changed back to the glucose, and 1 out of 4 molecules of lactic acid are broken down to carbon dioxide and water.
Sir, your mic is muted.
Okay, thank you very much for reminding me. I don't know how it happened, and I was speaking and speaking and speaking. Okay, let's. For how much time it was mute?
Sir, just this 3-4 seconds only.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So what I was saying that 3 out of 4 molecules of lactic acid are changed back to glucose, and 1 out of 4 molecules of lactic acid are broken down to carbon dioxide and water. Now, for this purpose, energy is required, and the energy comes from where? Energy comes from respiration, and that energy comes from respiration. Now, boys, that what will happen that for that purpose, definitely there will be requirement of the oxygen. Now, tell me one thing, boys. Let's suppose you see when I'm doing exercise or you are doing exercise, I was running, and now when I stop running or I stop exercising, will I start breathing normally right away?
No, sir, you will not.
No, no, I will not, right? Maybe after the exercise, I will keep on breathing heavily for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I will keep on breathing heavily. Right, guys? So
Yes, sir.
when I keep on breathing heavily for 4 or 5 minutes after the exercise, now what is I'm doing? I'm taking extra oxygen, even though I am not performing anything hard. I'm not performing anything tough, but I'm just sitting, but still I'm inhaling extra oxygen. Now that extra oxygen which I'm inhaling, afterwards, that oxygen is called as the oxygen debt. Now, who will tell me what is the meaning of this word debt?
Extra oxygen
No,
or
no.
more oxygen?
The
Sir,
word debt. Very
sir, if
good.
you borrow
In
something from some.
yes, loan. Right?
हाँ, उर्दू में से
Now,
कर्जा.
yes. Now, now tell me. Now look here. While I was performing exercise, I was running. I needed that oxygen. My muscles, they needed that oxygen for energy, but my lungs could not provide because they had a capacity, right? They could not inflate more than that. They could not inflate more than that. So what happened that after I finished the exercise, so during the, you see that what happened, that my muscles, they performed aerobic and anaerobic respiration. My muscles, they had lactic acid in it, and that lactic acid went where? To the liver. Now, after the exercise, the extra oxygen that I'm inhaling, that oxygen will be used to produce energy, to break down the lactic acid, and also to convert the lactic acid back to glucose. So the oxygen which I'm inhaling afterwards, that oxygen is called as oxygen debt. That is called what? Oxygen debt. Understood everyone or not? That is the loan which my body is paying afterwards. Understood or not, boys?
Yes, sir.
Right? So listen again, that during exercise, my body needed the oxygen, but it was not available. My lungs could not provide it. My lungs could not provide it. So at that time, you see, my muscles, they performed anaerobic respiration and they produced lactic acid. And they produced the lactic acid. Then what happened, that after the exercise, I kept on inhaling extra oxygen, and that extra oxygen that I kept on inhaling was used to break down that lactic acid and convert the lactic acid back to glucose. So that extra oxygen which I'm inhaling due to deep breaths and the faster breath, that is the oxygen debt that is being paid. Understood everyone?
Yes, sir.
So boys, are this chapter and our syllabus is now finished. Now let me tell you boys, this question about oxygen debt, it can come for at least 4 marks. All right. So remember, you have to remember that 3 out of 4 molecules, they change into, they change back into glucose. 3 out of 4 molecules, they change back into glucose. All right. And 1 out of 4 molecules of the lactic acid, they are broken down into carbon dioxide and water. Let me just save this file so that I can share it with you guys. If you guys have any question, you guys can ask.
No, sir, no question.
No, sir, no question.
Okay. So boys, I will share the You see video lectures of these in the one in the
Uh,
WhatsApp group as well. Okay. Yes.
okay, sir.
Now you see we will start the end of chapter questions. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Just a second. Let me just share the book with you guys. Okay, boys. Question number 1. Which of these descriptions applies to aerobic respiration and which to anaerobic respiration and which to both? Lactic acid or alcohol made? What is it related to, boys? Yes,
Sir,
boys.
lactic acid is anaerobic and alcohol is aerobic.
No.
Sir, both are anaerobic.
Both are anaerobic. Now, lactic acid is produced during the anaerobic respiration in the animals and bacteria. While alcohol is produced during anaerobic respiration in plants and fungi.
Okay.
Understood, everyone? The next one, energy released from glucose.
Respiration.
Yes, it is related to both aerobic and anaerobic respiration because energy is released in both processes. Right, boys?
Sir, so part A is also both.
No, part A is only anaerobic
Okay.
because I just explained lactic acid is produced in animals and bacteria during anaerobic respiration, while alcohol is produced in plants and fungi in anaerobic respiration. All right, so that is only anaerobic respiration. Carbon dioxide made.
Aerobic respiration.
Very good. It's only the aerobic respiration. Then heat released.
Anaerobic.
Both. All right. Heat is released in both aerobic and anaerobic respiration.
Sir, because both are exothermic reactions.
Yes. All right. The next one. Explain the meaning of the term gas exchange surface in human lungs. Now, boys, I have taught you this before when I was teaching you about the alveoli. Now, the surface of the alveoli is called as the gas exchange surface because that is the place where exchange of gases takes place, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, list 3 features of gas exchange surface. Now, I also explained you this one as well, boys. Now, if you guys remember, I told you that the alveoli, they are just one cell thick. Do you remember or not, boys? Alveoli, they are just one cell thick. Second, The blood capillaries are also 1 cell thick. So they just have to travel the distance of 2 cells, right? Or the 2 cell layer. Understand? And second, we learned that you see it has large surface area. It has large surface area. Thin membrane, small distance to cover, and large surface area. All right, boys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, boys. See you guys inshallah in next class. Take care and Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
No.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah Hafiz.